Today I want to talk about Chris Sean. Chris Sean is a YouTuber and web developer, and he just got a new job at Entrepreneur Magazine. So what I want to talk about is his progression, because he started off by learning how to code using online resources, particularly Team Treehouse, and which is essentially like an online bootcamp, online way to learn how to code. I believe he started from scratch, and got himself into a position where he knew how to code on the front end, so a lot of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and landed his first junior developer job. And from there, he was able to learn on the job, and then eventually transition out of it into a larger role at a new company. And I think this is really important because a lot of times people that are looking at coding boot camps or learning how to code or learning on their own, whether it be online or offline, they will think that there is this illustrious six-figure salary or some amazing salary at the end of the at the end of the road, but it just seems so far away. And what I'm here to tell you is that the goal of going to boot camp, whether it be online or offline, is not to land that six-figure job, especially not right out of the gate. The goal really is to get yourself in a position where you can get hired, typically as a junior developer, and then be in a position where you start becoming, instead of paying to learn like you are doing when you are enrolling in a boot camp, you're getting paid to learn. There's never been a job that I've found that I know of, especially in the tech industry, where you are getting paid to learn, and you're expected to spend most of your day or lots of your days learning. One thing that we do, that I'm a software developer myself, and I actually went through a boot camp myself, went to an offline boot camp called App Academy. And one of the things that we do during our work week sometimes is that we engage in what's called a spike. A spike is essentially a task. It could take a week, could take more, where you're just spending it learning how to do something. We have an idea for what kind of feature we want to implement, or some kind of a business case we want to satisfy through code, and we don't know how to do it. A lot of times, a lot of the day, you don't know how to do things, and during an entire sprint, what sprint is a way that we break up our essentially years worth of work into 2 weeks at a time. So during that 2 weeks, you might be spending the entire time just figuring out how to do something, spending time researching, and maybe spending time building an initial prototype, which is usually called a proof of concept. So that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal, well, not the ultimate goal, but the goal of going to a boot camp is not to land a six-figure job, not to compare yourself to someone that has spent years working as a developer. The goal of going to a boot camp is to exit that boot camp and be in a position where you flip the table around. You flip the script, and you're no longer paying to learn. Someone is paying you to learn. And not only are you learning by doing literally researching, reading documentation, looking at how other people have done things, looking at other projects that are implementing similar features that you want to implement, implementing in a similar way that you want to implement it. But you're learning all of these things and reading it, but then you're also applying it. And that's where a lot of learning happens, is in the actual application of what you've read and what you've learned. And again, I don't see this often in other careers. A lot of careers, you are just expected to do some kind of rote task, and you do it over and over again, day in, day out. But as a software developer, you get to spend a lot of your days just learning and then putting what you learn into practice. And when you're able to get there, once you get out of the boot camp, or you get out of learning how to code yourself and get into a position where you're a junior developer, you're likely working on a team with mid-level developers and senior developers. They're there to help you. They don't expect you to know everything. They're there to help you and help you learn, and help you, teach you where to go for resources. So that's the goal. So just to give you an idea of what's possible when you leave as a junior developer, I work and live in New York City. So this is going to vary from city to city, but as a junior developer, you're probably not going to be making six figures right off the bat. And not even New York City, which is a very high cost of living area with and high costs or high salaries. Most of the people that went to the boot camp I went to, which again is App Academy, 95% of them left with the job offers within a couple months of the boot camp, and most got offers around 60 to. We did actually have one person that got six figures. He got a $105,000 offer. But yeah, 60 to 105 was for junior developers, which again is the very first, tier you will qualify for once you go through a boot camp. After that, you get the mid-level engineers, which make anywhere from, I'd say, probably 90,000 up to 125,000. And then you have your senior software engineers that make it from 125 up to probably 180,000. Again, these are New York City salaries. I'd say probably fluctuates by about like 20,000 or so if you live in a place that has lower cost of living. And yeah, so that's what's possible. But again, you're not trying to hit those mid-level or senior level roles, or don't compare yourself to them. You're not going to get there right off the bat. The goal of going to a boot camp is strictly to get yourself in a position where you get a junior developer job, and then you can spend a whole year or two learning how to code, and then position yourself to maybe move on to a mid-level engineer job, and that's when you start breaking into the larger pay scales. So keep that in mind. If you feel like it's a long journey, it is. But again, once you break out of that orbit of hustling after your 9 to 5 and learning how to code, you're going to get yourself in a position as a junior developer where you spend your 9 to 5 learning how to code. Saves you a ton of time, and you're getting paid for it, which just accelerates the value that you're building within your own skill set. You're not getting paid to learn, and you spend your 9 to 5 doing it, so now you're no longer trying to learn after work. So that's a key when you're going to a boot camp, and that's what you're trying to get out of it, to get that job where you're getting paid to learn. All right, so hopefully that was helpful for anyone out there that is looking to get into a boot camp or learn how to code themselves and what to expect as the next step. So if you have any questions about getting your first job or becoming a junior developer or going to boot camps, leave them in the comments below, and I'll answer them in the comments or create another video to answer your questions.